What a great car season this has been. I know the season is over, but come on, let's go to a car show. The Ruthven Applefest Car Show. Jack and the gang thank everyone for coming out. Every year this show grows in size. If you were there, here's a second look. If you missed it, there's always another one coming along next year. This video does not attempt to get all the cars in fact I couldn't. There were so many cars to show and stories to tell that I ran out of camera power even with a fully charged battery. That's how big this show was. But like all car shows, this was more than just cars. It was a chance for friends to get together, to share a few stories, laugh a little, and have a good time. In this video, we'll look at a lot of individual cars and put owners' names to some of the cars. And we'll hear a story or two. Let's start with this beautiful 55 Packard Clipper Constellation hardtop. It's owned by Bonner and his wife from Kingsville. This car was discovered by a friend in a Northern California wrecking yard where it sat for 30 years. The body was in great shape, but the rest of the car, well, that was another matter.
All upholstery was dust on the floor. The paint was a fine coating of nothing on steel.
It required a full 100% frame-off restoration. Just about everything on this car is restored to original. Even the paint and upholstery are authentic. Under the hood is a Packard 352 engine with a 4-barrel carburetor and a Packard lock-up transmission. No springs in this car, it's all torsion bar suspension.
We drive it. In fact, a couple of weeks ago we drove it from Kingsville up to Manitoulin Island. Did a week-long tour there with the Historic Automobile Society and of Canada, and drove all the way back down to Kingsville again.
There's Toddy's 57 Plymouth Satellite. Here's a look at the interior. Marshall's 71 Charger with a 440 and a 6-pack. Jeff's 54 Ford with mild customizing here and there. He's owned the car for about 8 years. Dave from Tilbury owns this 67 Barracuda. It's got a 340 under the hood. Nice shape inside and out. Chris owns this 1960 Corvette. And John's 72 Corvette. And there's Pat's 62 Corvette that he's owned for 40 years or more. That's Bob's 69 Roadrunner. It's got a 440 under the hood. Kim's 64 Comet is powered by a 347 and 4-speed transmission. Barry from Chatham owns this 51 Ford. Don't know what it is, but there's a big engine under the hood. What a nice 57 Chevy convertible. It belongs to Larry from Michigan. He bought it in California from the original owner. He owns a company called Cars Incorporated, which sells Chevy parts. It's powered by a standard 283. This is a 41 Chev Special Deluxe with a 235 engine. The owner says he didn't have to do much work at all to this except install a new interior. It has the original dash and a 57 Chevy overdrive transmission and rear end. He's owned it for 15 years. There's Roy's 66 Nova with a 327 and 4-speed. Roy did a complete restoration on this car himself. He's done a beautiful job. There's a 34 Plymouth with a 57 Hemi engine. Nice interior and a nice car. That's Daryl's 1950 Mercury Rat Rod. I've always liked this car. It's Roy and Carol's 67 Austin Healey, built in late 66. It's got a 3000cc engine, and here's a look at the interior. You know, at one time you could pick these cars up for almost nickels and dimes, but not anymore. Jerry from Chatham was here with his 31 Ford 5-window coupe. It's powered by a 350 engine with 376 horsepower. Kevin's 67 GTO. It's a board over 389 to 400. A 1970 AMX with a 360 and 4-speed. That's Robert's 63 XL convertible. He's just had the engine redone this year. I've always liked the interiors in these 63 XLs. See how comfortable this looks. Now that is cruising pleasure. Mike's 1970 Super Bee. Here's a look under the hood. Here's a rare one. It's Dan's 58 Chevy Cameo pickup. These were made from 55 to 58, but 58 was the first year for the fleet side, which had a larger box in the back. Only a little more than 1,400 of these pickups were ever produced. It's powered by a 283, and for the first time Chevy pickups had quad headlights. There's a lot more to show and tell, so stay with me. Kathy and Vince 32 Chevy Highboy. This has got a 350 engine. This car has been owned since 1995 and has been driven to the East Coast and West Coast. Here's more from Vince.
Chopped 2.5 inches. It's got a GM van roof in it. The doors have been made suicide. I built everything underneath it. I built the steering column, the dash insert. Being a toolmaker, I made all the brackets and everything myself.
Norm's 29 Ford. It's a Shea reproduction and basically a Pinto, but Norm really enjoys it. It still looks great. Len's Hot Rod. I think it's a 29 Ford. Always good to see Russ here with his 57 Ford. Here's a look at the car. Gary's Super Sport Fastback with a big 426 under the hood and 2 4s. There's Jeff's 67 Camaro. Tony's 2004 Viper. And here's a look at the engine. This is Bob's 34 Rio, the last year for the Rio badge to appear on cars as they concentrated more on trucks. Here's Bob to tell you more about his Rio.
I bought it in pieces in 2006. It was for sale in this article, and so I called the guy. We made a deal. He sent me some pictures, and I went down and bought it. And I brought it home in April of 06, and I had it on the road in July of 07.
This is Ken's 34 Chevy Rat Rod. Isn't she a beauty? Here's a look at the interior. Under the hood is a less than powerful 4-cylinder Ford engine, but it's enough to get him down the road. Ken's got a couple more rat rods, a couple of hot rods, and a couple of classics. But his favorite is rat rods.
Well, they're easy to look after. They draw a lot of attention, as you can see. And you don't have to put a lot of money in them to be able to get them on the road. You don't have to worry about the paint or whether the birds do their business on them or kids sit on them, or, you know, they're just there, you know what I mean?
We know exactly what you mean, Ken, but Pete wouldn't want any birds pooping on his 66 Chevy Super Sport. It's powered by a 396 turbo, and he keeps it in pristine condition. Still a lot more cars and comments to come. Here's Jim's 71 Cougar. I don't know who owns this car, but it's powered by a monster 426 Hemi. There's John's 87 Cutlass with a 355 under the hood. He's owned it for 5 years. 1970 was the first year for the Monte Carlo. Ron has owned this since January of 2011. It has a 400 cubic inch engine, and the interior is flawless. Ron keeps this car in pristine condition. This 55 Merc was really in bad condition when found outside of Essex, but it was all disassembled and a lot of work went into it to make it what it is today. The hood opens with a touch of a button to reveal the original 272 engine. Here's a look at the dash. There's a cool-looking dune buggy with a beefy VW engine. Sam's 69 Cornet RT, and more cars at Applefest. Here's Malcolm's beautiful 1970 396 Chevelle.
had it since 1988.
A complete frame-off.
Yes, it took me 6 years to complete that project.
A lot of work went into this car. Diane and Rod's 1931 Chevy pickup. Looks like a 350 engine. Nice looking bed on this fun Chevy pickup. And here's Wayne's 1951 Plymouth hardtop. He'd been looking for this car for quite a while. Hardtops are not easy to find. It's got a 3-speed standard transmission on the column. What a perfect day to be out enjoying the Applefest car show. Plenty of sunshine, just the right temperature, and lots of good people. Now here's a look at cars in review and who owns them. Dan's 75 Dodge. Dan's 49 Dodge. Rick's 58 Chevy pickup. Stan's 48 Chevrolet. Ryan's 67 Barracuda. Bob's 48 Merc Coupe. Don's Rat Rod, complete with bullet holes and nailhead engine. He likes this car just the way it is. Kirk's 56 Ford. Randy's Corvette. Chris owns this 67 Dodge. Nick's luxurious Cadillac. Don's 66 Dodge. Gotta step back a moment to let this Chevy pickup go by. Here's Don's 56 Dodge Regent hardtop. And George's Barracuda. There goes Ray in his 66 Mustang. And another Ray in his 62 T-Bird. This 53 Ford F100 pickup belongs to Dennis. Here's a look under the hood. A nice oak bed in the back. And here are still more cars at the Applefest Car Show. Always a favorite is Paul's 29 Hot Rod. And there's Carrie and Joanne's 78 Malibu with an 800 horsepower engine. Carrie bought this car in a roadside deal. There's quite a story there. Joe came along with his 1951 Ford hardtop. Gord and Norma's 1960 Studebaker Lark. This car is well preserved. Ken's exquisite 1957 Corvette, owned for 50 years. Years ago, it was hit in the rear end with a lot of damage, but it was put back together like new, including a new frame. And doesn't it look great now? That's Cyril's 1968 Mustang. And here's Ed's 53 Chevy hardtop. Here's Giorgio's newly finished Chevy pickup. And Denise's Ford Frontenac. So many cars I'm leaving out. It's been a great show, but when you gotta go, you gotta go. So thanks for viewing. So long for now from the Applefest Car Show. And come spring, we'll see you at the car shows and cruise nights.